I never saw it coming. Kimberly and I had been together for nearly a decade, building a life that felt secure, with routines and comfort in our shared understanding. Or so I thought. One evening, as we sat on the couch after dinner, she turned to me with an unreadable expression and said, "I don't feel happy anymore." My fork froze halfway in my mouth. I laughed, though it was a nervous, confused sound. "What do you mean?" I asked, setting my plate aside. She sighed, staring at her hands. "I don't know," she replied. "I just feel different." Her words hung in the air like a riddle. I leaned in, trying to make sense of it. "Is it me? Did I do something? Are you stressed? What changed?" She shrugged, her gaze distant. "I don't know. I just need space." The word space hit me like a weight. I had heard it before, often from friends whose relationships were falling apart. It was never just space. It was the beginning of the end. But I refused to believe that. I told myself it was just a phase. Maybe something she was going through that would pass. Instead of arguing, I simply said, "Okay, what do you need from me?" "I just need time," she murmured. And just like that, everything shifted. I fought for her. I couldn't accept that this was the end. I convinced myself there was a reason, something I was missing. So I tried. I planned date nights, bought her flowers, left little notes in her purse, made her favorite meals. I asked about her day with enthusiasm, truly listened when she spoke. I even took a few days off work to spend more time with her, thinking maybe I'd been too distracted by life, that I'd taken her for granted. But nothing worked. No matter what I did, she remained distant. She smiled, but it was polite, not genuine. She let me hold her hand, but her fingers never curled around mine like they used to. When I kissed her, she kissed me back, but felt as though she wasn't there. I started noticing the little things. How she checked her phone more often, turning the screen away from me. How she sighed when I asked if she was okay, like she was tired of answering. And the hesitation when she said, "I love you," as though the words didn't fit right anymore. One night, I had everything planned. Candlelit dinner, soft music in the background. I was pulling out all the stops. She sat across from me, stirring her food absent-mindedly, barely eating. "You don't have to do all this," she said suddenly, not even looking up. I put my fork down. "I want to." She sighed like she was carrying a weight I couldn't see. "Greg, I told you I just need space." My chest tightened. Space from what? From me? She didn't answer. That was my answer. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her back turned to me like I was a stranger. I had given everything. But if she didn't know whether she wanted me, why was I the one fighting so hard? So I stopped. I stopped texting her throughout the day. I stopped checking in, stopped asking if she was okay, stopped planning things, stopped trying to make her feel special. I still loved her, but I wasn't going to beg for her attention anymore. And then something strange happened. She noticed. At first, it was small things. She started texting me during the day, asking where I was, when before she barely acknowledged my absence. She called me at work just to check in. She asked about my day when just days ago. She barely responded when I asked about hers. She waited up for me when I came home late, looking like she'd been expecting me to walk through the door hours earlier. One evening, I walked into the kitchen to grab a drink, and she was standing by the counter watching me. "You've been really distant lately," she said, her voice softer than usual. I took a sip of water and shrugged. "I'm just giving you the space you asked for." She blinked, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. She wasn't expecting this. At first, she pretended it didn't bother her, told herself I was just upset, trying to get back at her. But the longer it went on, the more restless she became. She started trying. She suggested watching our favorite shows together, linger by my side when I was doing things around the house. She even brought home my favorite takeout one night, something she hadn't done in months. Then one evening, as I sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, she hesitated before sitting next to me. "Do you still love me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I turned to her, keeping my expression unreadable. Why are you asking me that now? She blinked, caught off guard. I just feel like we're growing apart. I let out a small laugh. You're the one who wanted space. I'm just respecting that. And that's when I saw it, the regret in her eyes. She had expected me to wait, to fight for her, to hold on no matter what. She never thought I would stop chasing her. But something still felt off. Yes, she regretted something. But it wasn't just about me. There was something deeper, something she was hiding. Then one night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to shower. It buzzed once, twice. I wasn't looking for anything, but then I saw the message. I miss you. When can I see you again? My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. I didn't touch her phone. Didn't even breathe for a moment. And then it all made sense. She didn't need space. She wanted options. She wanted to test the waters with someone else while keeping me as a safety net. And now that she saw me slipping away, she was scrambling to pull me back. But it was too late. The moment I saw that message, everything shifted inside me. There was no explosion of anger, no immediate confrontation. Instead, I felt eerily calm, as if I had just been handed the final piece of a puzzle I didn't even realize I was solving. I put her phone down and walked away. She came out of the bathroom minutes later, towel drying her hair, oblivious to the fact that I now knew everything. She smiled slightly as she passed by me, like we were two normal people in a normal marriage. It almost made me laugh. Over the next few days, I stayed in the house, not because I hesitated or had doubts, but because I was meeting with a lawyer, preparing for divorce. I got everything in motion and made sure I had everything I needed. But during those days, something changed. I completely stopped caring. I didn't ask her how she was feeling. I didn't check in. I didn't watch her anymore. It was over. I didn't wait for her to notice me. The weight that had been pressing on me for weeks was suddenly gone. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I just didn't care anymore. She had made her choice, and now it was my turn to make mine. If she spoke to me, I barely responded. If she was in the same room, I didn't look at her. If she sat beside me, I didn't move, but I didn't acknowledge her either. I wasn't ignoring her out of spite. It was simply that she didn't matter anymore, and she could feel the shift. The air felt different. The way I moved through the house, as if she wasn't even there. The way I hardly acknowledged her presence. It got to her. She started watching me more, paying attention in a way she hadn't in months. But by then it was too late. I could see in her eyes the slow realization that she had gone too far, miscalculated, underestimated me. And then one evening it happened. I was in the bedroom packing a suitcase. My movements were methodical as I folded my clothes, gathered my things. There was no rush, no anger, just finality. Kimberly came in, her steps hesitant. She leaned against the doorframe, wrapping her arms around herself. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice soft and uncertain. I didn't stop packing. She hesitated, her breath catching. "For how long?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I zipped up the suitcase and turned to face her. "For good," I replied, my tone calm. Her eyes darted, blinking rapidly like she was trying to make sense of what I'd said. "Greg, come on. Don't do this." I let out a humorless laugh. "I'm not the one who did this. Kimberly, you are." Her face shifted in confusion. "I don't understand." I tilted my head slightly, seeing the flicker of recognition in her eyes as she registered what I meant. "On your phone," I said, my voice eerily calm. "The one you were careless enough to leave unlocked. I miss you. When can I see you again?" Her mouth opened and closed, struggling to find a lie that wouldn't come. "Greg, I held up a hand, cutting her off. "Don't. It doesn't matter anymore." I grabbed my suitcase and started walking past her, but she followed me quickly. Her footsteps hurried as panic grew in her voice. "Wait, where you going?" "I told you. I'm leaving." Her expression changed, and she looked as if the breath had been knocked from her chest. I don't want us to fall apart," she said, her voice barely a whisper. I paused at the front door, hand on the handle, and turned to face her one last time. "We didn't fall apart, Kimberly. You walked away. Now I'm doing the same." Her eyes filled with tears, and she reached out, trembling fingers grabbing my arm. Please, I don't want to lose you. I looked at her, then really looked at her, the woman who had once been my everything, who had made me believe we were unbreakable, only to destroy it all when she thought my loyalty was unshakable. You already did. I walked out the door, not looking back. I didn't wait for her to chase after me. I heard her sobbing as the door clicked shut, but for the first time in a long time, it didn't matter because I was free. The next morning, I filed for divorce. I found a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, but it was quiet and it was mine. A fresh start. Over the next few days, I packed up the rest of my things, signed the papers, and left the house behind. Kimberly didn't fight me. Maybe she thought I was bluffing. Maybe she thought I'd come back eventually. But I didn't. For months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into work, hit the gym more often, and picked up old hobbies I let slide during our marriage. Eventually, I started dating again. At first, it felt strange sitting across from a woman who wasn't Kimberly, learning someone new, but it also felt refreshing. I was finally living for myself. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. She got the house, but I didn't care. It was just a building, and I was already gone. 6 months after the divorce, there was a knock on my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I had been getting ready for the gym, pulling on my sneakers when the sound echoed through my apartment. I opened the door, and there she was. Kimberly. She looked nothing like the woman I had left behind. Her hair was in a messy bun, her eyes tired. Her hands were clasped in front of her, as though holding herself together. Hey, she said softly. I exhaled, already knowing where this was going. Hey. She shifted on her feet, looking around as if taking in my new life. Can I come in? I thought for a moment before stepping aside, allowing her to walk in. Her eyes scanned the apartment, and her movements were uncertain. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. What are you doing here, Kimberly? She swallowed hard, her eyes fixed on the floor before meeting mine. I needed to see you, to talk. I said nothing, waiting. I made a mistake, she finally admitted. I thought I needed something else, something different, but nothing worked. The guy I was seeing, I ended it. I tried dating again, but nothing lasted. She stepped closer, her eyes pleading. And then I realized it was you. It was always you. I sighed, rubbing a hand over my jaw. Kimberly, please just hear me out, she interrupted, her voice desperate. I was stupid. I ruined everything. But I swear I see it now. I see what I lost. I stared at her for a long time, letting her words sink in, then shook my head. I moved on. She flinched as if my words had physically hurt her. Greg, please, she whispered. No, I said, firm but calm. You walked away, and I spent months trying to figure out what I did wrong. But now I know I wasn't the problem. You were. Tears welled in her eyes. I miss you, she choked out. I stepped toward the door. You should go. She didn't move at first, standing there as if she wanted to argue, to beg. But I had nothing left to give her. Finally, she nodded, wiping her eyes. She walked past me, pausing in the doorway for just a second. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't respond. I just shut the door behind her and locked it. I took a deep breath, and for the first time since all this began, I felt at peace because I had.